So, Jason, earlier this summer, after the Cavs season had come to an end, The Athletic, and partly your reporting, had mentioned that Darius Garland and/or his representation may, and the key word was may, ask for the Cavs to explore a trade if Donovan Mitchell re-signed. Fast forward to the present, Donovan has re-signed, and at the Summer League, Darius Garland told Chris Fedor that he now does not want to be traded. In your opinion, what's changed from where we started this offseason to where we presently are in terms of the Darius Garland situation and his future with the Cavs?
I don't know that anything changed, really. We talked about it for weeks after our report came out that, listen, it's going to be a tough needle to thread because Darius has a really big contract, riches in franchise history, and he didn't have a good year. And it's tough to marry that together when you're trying to make a trade to improve your team to win right now. And the Cavs had offers early in this process from teams trying to trade for him, but it wasn't things that were going to make them better right now. And this is a team trying to contend right now. So they did talk. You know, Kobe Altman and Rich Paul did have a conversation, but certainly to this point, and it's middle of July, things could still change. But from where we sit now, it certainly appears as if they're going to bring it back with all four guys, which we've talked about on the show. Certainly, they don't have to they don't have to trade anyone because it's a tough spot that they're in. They're trying to win, and because of the money, because of what's out there, what's available, it wasn't always going to be a perfect alignment to make things happen. There are still questions. It's fair. I've said it before. 2 years ago, they played great together. Donovan and Darius were just fine together. Last year, it was not good. So we'll see if they do run it back this year. We'll see what it looks like this year. I still don't know that Darius is going to live out the length of the contract in Cleveland. We'll see. We'll see what this looks like. The Cavs are putting a lot of faith in Kenny Atkinson being the missing ingredient in all this and being able to make it all marry and make it all blend and make it all taste a lot better than what it did last year. But I don't know that necessarily. I don't think anything really changed. I believe Darius when he says he's happy here. That was never in dispute. What we reported was that if Donovan re-signed, which obviously he did, his representation could have a conversation with Kobe about the possibility of getting him out. That occurred. That happened. But to this point, no movement obviously has taken place.
Tyvis?
Yeah, I never was a fan of, obviously everybody knows that I like DG, and I never was a fan of that. And when he did his little interview, he talked about the weight loss, and I'll just tell you what, buddy, you better eat you some more Chick-fil-A since that was your first meal. I just think he just needs to bulk up. Like I say, the player that he was a couple of years ago, it's just no way that he just disappeared. Hopefully with Kenny Atkinson coming in here, switching things around, is able to help him be more comfortable. Him and Donovan been playing for, this will be 3 years now. So at some point, it's got to work at some point. Because if you're gonna commit to staying here and not asking for a trade, and you want to ride this thing out, you got to be willing to make those sacrifices and do the things that you can to be successful. So hopefully everybody's mind is open to what Kenny wants to happen, and hopefully we see a better offensive set and better play from Darius in this upcoming season.
There are people around Darius and Darius' circle who want the ball in Darius' hands, who believe that he's at his best when he's running the offense. It was like that when Colin Sexton was here. Is like that now with Donovan.
I mean, those people are annoying.
You can point to the evidence that say that, but at the end of the day, if you really want to win it, you got to make sacrifices, and you got to learn how to be better without the ball at sometimes. And I feel like you've had 2 years to do that. So at this point, that's why I say, to me, if Kenny could get Evan to be more like Draymond, where he takes the ball out of their hands for a little bit and facilitate things. That might be better for both of them, because now you can't be mad that he got the ball, or he can't be mad he got the ball. Neither one of y'all got it.
Couple things. First of all, number one, Cane's, KFC, Popeyes, all way better than Chick-fil-A.
What are you?
False.
What are you talking
Chick-fil-A is
about?
trash.
What is wrong with you?
People wait on car lines 15 cars deep to get Chick-fil-A, which is trash.
Are you insane?
Are you
insane?
No, I am the most sane person you've ever met in your life.
That is, first of all, that's opinionated right there.
It is an opinion.
The man who is openly rooting against NFL players
no,
is the most sane person. Is the most sane person.
Because I keep it real. Everybody.
That doesn't make you sane. You think
That's true, it doesn't.
Wait, first of all, Canes don't sell
They sell chicken fingers.
Yeah, so
What's the difference?
It's a big difference. Cane's chicken fingers alone is not that great, but the sauce is what makes it
And
superb.
chicken fingers are good.
So
Chick-fil-A is way overrated. Their
it's
food
not.
stinks, and the company hates gay people, so I hate them.
Well,
All right.
so that's what it is.
That's what it is. That's the
But
reason.
I don't like their chicken. I don't think their chicken's good anyway. Number two, Darius's people don't give a rat's ass whether the Cavs win or not. They only care about him getting paid as much as possible, so his hangers-oners can make more money.
They should be done. He's paid.
Yeah, go away.
It's
Go
over.
away. I don't care what his people
y'all
is.
have-
I agree with you, but there's another contract.
I understand,
care
but
what
if he
people
keep playing like this and he keeps saying, I want the ball.
Number
I want
three,
the ball. Like,
He's not saying it.
Number three, guys, I'm not going to speak for you. You weren't emotional about it. You're not emotional about anything.
I'm dead inside.
You're dead inside. Me and Earl and G, the three of us, we all got emotional because we're emotional people. We got emotional and we're like, Darius sucks. Let's move on from him. Blah, 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 blah.
oh, well, I'm like Jason then. I'm dead.
Yeah, you're
inside.
more like Jason.
Yeah, I'm dead
Me,
inside.
Earl, and G, we live by our emotions, right? So we were like, you got to trade him, you got to trade him. But the reality is now that I've calmed down and the season's way over and I'm less in my emotions, the reality is the Cavs can't trade Darius Garland because you can't trade a guy coming off his worst season making a ton of money because his value is nothing. And as you said, all the trade offers they got were probably draft picks or whatever it was, but it's not a player bet. Why would anybody give you a good wing player for Darius Garland right now?
Correct.
This is not going to happen. So my fear, the only hope for the Cavs is that Kenny Atkinson gets the best out of Darius and the best out of Evan Mobley. But my fear, guys, and you tell me what you think, and Mike, if you want to jump in, or Earl, whoever. My fear with the Cavs is that they find themselves in a situation where you never want to be in the NBA, where you're too good to rebuild, to get draft picks, especially because they've traded them all away. But you're not good enough to compete with the best of the best. Like they're in that next tier where like they're going to get to the playoffs every year. They're probably going to win a round, a number of times, and they're never going to get past that.
It's basketball limbo.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Does basketball limbo still exist?
Why would
In
it
this
not?
new world NBA of parity and everything else, this is not the era of super teams anymore. So and you're right. You don't
Yes.
want to be in the middle. I don't know that the middle exists anymore.
I
I think almost everybody's in the middle.
Here's what I think. If you think I'm wrong, I think the middle is just smaller. There's less teams there, and I think the Cavs, unfortunately, are one of the very few teams in that place.
Here's the thing. I don't think the Cavs are the best team in the East. I don't think they're a top 3 team in the East.
Are they even top 4? I mean, Philly, Milwaukee, the Knicks.
I don't put
and
Philly.
Boston?
I don't put Philly above them.
You don't put Philly above.
I'm not a Philly believer,
Even with Paul?
even with Paul. Okay. He's old. He's hurt all the time. But Boston,
Knicks,
and Milwaukee,
Yeah.
I think, are above them. Those
Yeah.
3 teams are above them. And Mike, jump in and disagree with me if there's a team that I'm missing.
You and I disagree on Philly and Milwaukee. I'd have Philly in that 3rd spot and
Okay.
Milwaukee in the 4th spot, and I know you disagree with that. But I think you can't make the case the Cavs are top 3. Whether Philly
Correct.
or Milwaukee's your 3rd preference, either one of those, whoever you
I
feel
think
better.
they're 5 behind both of those teams, but you
And
guys
yeah,
know better
that's
than
where
me.
I had them
don't know.
too.
But I also think, are you telling me right now they can't beat Milwaukee in a playoff series? I think they can. Are you telling me they can't beat Philly? I think they can.
I agree with both of those.
Can they beat New York? Tough, but yeah, I think
Okay.
you can't. I'm not going to sit here and say they can't beat the Knicks in a playoff series. So I mean, Boston would be hard.
But can't
Boston's
and
a-
likely are 2 different things.
But in the past in the NBA,
yeah,
if the 5 seed had no chance of beating
that's true.
the 2 seed,
That's fair.
That was not going to happen.
No, you're right.
And we're seeing the needle shift on this, and I think we're going to talk about it probably in the next topic here. But we're seeing that shift in the NBA to where, and that's why I think this is a different argument than what it was. Because yeah, the Cavs are no better right now than at the absolute best case scenario. Whether you want to make it Philly, Milwaukee, whoever, they are no better than 4th and very possibly 5th. True. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
But I can't sit here and say they cannot beat those teams in front of them, where in the past, you couldn't come up with a logical reason or argument for how the 5th team was going to beat the 2 team.
But would you agree that they would be an underdog against any of them?
Yes, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask Jason a question real quick? Jason, how would you stack these particular teams then? If you want to put Philly and Cleveland How do you rank them with Orlando and Indiana and even Miami then too? Those
Right.
5 teams. How would you rank those?
Right now, I put Cleveland ahead of those teams. Although Orlando, I really like Orlando. I was so impressed with them.
Did they get a point guard here?
They got Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Not a true point guard, but
Yeah.
a shooter who could also handle
It's
it.
an upgrade.
And they got
Yeah.
De Silva,
It's an
who
upgrade.
I seen him game 1.
That's
He
Mike's guy.
He shot really
He looked
good.
good.
Yeah,
Mike-
he did. I was mad, Mike.
I was watching him during that. That was the one game, the Cavs game I caught while I was in Vegas. He can play.
He's a wing
Yeah,
player,
man.
though, not a point guard, right?
No, he's 6'8", 6'9".
But he's older. What is he, like 23?
He's 23. That's why he slid in the draft.
Yeah.
Or not slid, but that's why he wasn't.
But in the end, if he's really good, who cares what his age is?
I think, but to Mike's, I think Indiana was a little bit of a fluke, and I think they got
Right.
lucky on some of the pairings and the way things broke. I would put the Cavs above Indiana.
Yeah.
I'd put the Cavs above Miami.
You never know with them from
You
year to
never
year.
know.
It's
But right
weird
now,
with
I'd put
them,
the
yeah.
Cavs above them. What was the other one?
That's it.
It was Orlando, Philly.
But
put him
think
up-
about it this way. Like, you know,
But it's all a bottleneck right there.
It is. Okay, but like let's say in theory the Cavs finishes the 4 or 5 seed next year, which is a good chance of that, right?
Yeah.
So now in theory, you likely would have to beat either Philadelphia or Milwaukee in the first round, then the Celtics in the second round, and then either the Knicks or Philadelphia or Milwaukee. Like the odds of them beating all 3 of those 4 teams
Well, the odds
are
of all
not good.
All the odds of all those teams being healthy at the end are not good.
True, but the odds of the Cavs being
That's
healthy,
exact-
also
and that's
not
why
good. So
you gotta
never-
play this
never know.
out. You gotta let
so
this
the
play
Cavs
out.
have a chance, a puncher's chance.
Yeah.
But they're on the lower end of the teams that have a chance. They're near the bottom.
I mean, there's teams I'd rank above them as
Yeah.
better teams today, but again, I think they have every bit of chance of beating those teams in a playoff series, and that didn't exist prior to. That didn't exist 10 to 15 years ago.
I can't talk.
Well, I got something I want to say.
ahead, Tom.
I'm mad at McNuggets on this
like this.
on this Darius thing, and I really don't ever have a problem with McNuggets, but I'm mad at him because
What'd I do?
I'm gonna tell you what you did. We had a conversation. You brought up a topic. It was a very great topic. It said, "Can Darius Garland be the Jaylen Brown of the Cavs?" And you said, you and G. Bush teamed up and said, "No, he's too small. They got to get rid of him." And I'm just curious now to hear what your thought is now that Darius is staying around. I just want to hear what you have to say about that because, you know, just a couple weeks
you
ago.
think he's staying around.
Yeah, just a couple weeks ago, you know,
Yeah,
you was
my
all
thoughts
out.
haven't changed.
Okay.
To be Jaylen Brown, you have to be the second best player on a championship team. Do I think Darius Garland could be the second best player on a championship team? Just like 3 weeks ago, my answer is still no.
I mean,
He's such a hater.
the reality
Do
is.
you
such
think he
a-
could be the second best player on a
No,
championship
he
team?
could be the first. How
No,
about
come on, you're
that?
crazy.
He
Oh,
could
my
be the
goodness
first. How
Here's
about that?
the truth
mad at
about the
yourself.
Cavs. The truth about the Cavs is something that Jason Lloyd said 3 years ago, and then again 2 years ago, and then again last year. And now I will say it in his stead.
What'd he say?
The only way the Cavs win a championship is if Evan Mobley becomes the best player on the Cavs. At the very least, I would say the number 2 player.
I think
Right.
it has to be number one.
Okay, you think he still has to be number 1?
Yeah.
That's it. Because
As this team is currently constructed.
Right.
As this team
because
is
if
constructed.
Donovan Mitchell's your second best player, but what are the odds that Evan Mobley by this year becomes
wonder-
better than Donovan Mitchell? There's almost no chance of that.
What are
happening.
the odds that Evan Mobley actually becomes like a best player on the team? Period.
I have no idea what the odds are. I think it's possible.
You really, when you
Yes.
watch him play,
You think
see
it's possible he could be better than Donovan this year?
This year, no.
He said best player.
Ever.
You
Ever.
said this year.
Do you see it, boy? When you watch, when
I
you
don't.
When Evan
But
play,
I'm-
have you ever like?
I mean, and this is an anomaly. But
Yeah.
look how long it took Jalen Brunson to figure it out. You know what I mean? Like
That's
it,
true.
it doesn't happen
Yeah.
when we want it to happen with every guy. And is it going to happen this year? Probably not. No. But I am curious to see Evan in a Kenny Atkinson offense because Evan, as a pro, has only played in defensive-minded systems in Cleveland.
Yeah.
He's never played in a system that has featured him or that has focused on him. So I'm just curious
Yeah.
to see what it
What
looks
is-
like.
I think he needs to become the second best player on this team this year.
out of curiosity,
This year he needs to become the second best player.
Out of
And
curiosity,
then
Mike.
we'll see. That'll be interesting.
what is his career high since he's been in the NBA?
Who, Mobley?
Yeah,
I think 15.7.
No,
No.
career high like for one game.
yeah, for one game.
Oh, I think 33, but I could be wrong on that.
Okay.
He could average 20-22 in the NBA.
No, I'm just curious. I just
38 points he scored against the Bucks on January 21st, 2023.
Giannis had to not be playing that game, right?
I have no idea. They scored
points
38 points.
What was his like? Did he shoot threes in that game and everything?
No, he was 0 for 2 from 3.
He got 30. Oh yeah, Giannis.
And he made no free throws. He made 19 2-pointers.
Yeah, there's no way Giannis is playing that. Yeah. I can't imagine.
You
All right,
mentioned
go ahead.
Brunson real quick, which leads us into our next topic. But one last point on Brunson before I do a read. Brunson took the leap when he left Luka's side and came to a completely new offensive philosophy where a coach gave him a lot more freedom to operate as the lead primary ball handler as opposed to being the outlet for Luka when they doubled him.
Yeah.
And you see what happened to his stats. So we'll see what happens with Atkinson and Evan Mobley.
Before you switch